Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cannon Sports Show. Today we have our first Arizona Cardinals podcast. Excuse that. I don't know why that has to pop up at this moment. So, yeah, this is my first Cardinals podcast. The Cardinals are my favorite NFL team, so I want to talk about them as much as I possibly can. Want to give my insights, give my opinions, and yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. So, first thing we need to talk about is the Cardinals' end to their season and just their last season as a whole. It was a shit fest, to put it lightly. It was a really bad year for the Cardinals. I've not seen a team play with less heart and just no passion for the game in my life. And something that does need to be talked about is that the Cardinals did have a lot of injuries last year. Obviously, Kyler Murray. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins gets injured. But that's not the only injuries we've had that year. We had a lot of injuries all around. Like we were playing with some fourth string guys, especially in the O line too. The O line injuries were bad last year. So I'm not surprised the Cardinals played as bad as they did. But that being said, they just were not good last year. And I'm a very loyal sports fan. Like I've been a Suns fan for years, even through their crappy years when we had like Dragon Bender on our team. But I always stick with my teams. But the Cardinals were so bad, and some of the moves that they made genuinely made me want to stop being a fan of them. I very much considered moving on for them, especially when they cut Benjamin. I'm an ASU football fan, so obviously I'm a bit biased towards the ASU football players. And so I loved it, when he was on the Cardinals. I was so happy that we had him. But not just like, oh, fan favorite for me. Benjamin played at ASU, was great there. He was doing well for us in the NFL. He was doing well. Like, he stepped in when Connor was out. He took a bigger leap and role when, Chase Edmonds left us. And so he was our second running back, and he did a fantastic job. And then all of a sudden, Cliff Kingsbury just decides to not use him. Same with Dortch, Greg Dortch. He just didn't use Dortch. I don't understand why. Like, every time Dortch caught the ball, he made something happen. He made big plays. And I'm very excited. They retained Dortch this year, so I'm very excited to see what he can do. I just don't understand what Cliff Kingsbury was doing. And then Eno goes and I guess complains about how he's not getting playing time, which is a valid complaint considering that he was playing well. And rather than, trying to work with him, be like, oh, well, this is why you're not playing right now. No, they just cut him. So I don't know, I told like my family, my friends, I said, I want to be a Cardinals fan. I hope I can be a Cardinals fan. But the only reason I'm going to be a Cardinals fan next season is if they fire Cliff and they fire Steve Keim. And that's exactly what they did. I liked Cliff when he came into the league because they labeled him as an offensive genius. And then I think we quickly found out that offensive genius means throw 15 screens a game and have none of them work. So I don't know. I liked Cliff, but he lacks an NFL offensive mindset. He is geared towards college offense. Steve Keim, he's been making questionable decisions throughout his entire career. Like, people have been calling for him to get fired for God knows how many years now. So it was just time. And he's had health issues too, on top of that. So I think it was just good for him to leave. So they replaced Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim with Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort. Now, I'm not going to lie. I wasn't 100% sold on Jonathan Gannon. He was the Eagles defensive coordinator, and a lot of people were like, oh, the Eagles defense was great last year, so this coach has to be good. But that Eagles defense was stacked. They had so many good players on it. So that could have been a big reason why Gannon had so much success over there in Philadelphia. But to be honest, from some of the things I've heard the players say about him, and just I don't know, I've seen videos of him in practice and outside of practice even, and he just really does seem like a good guy. He seems like he gets along with the players well and wants to build with this team. He wants this team to be successful, and that's what I love. So I'm really optimistic about him. I really hope that he can do well. And then Monty Ossenfort, I didn't know anything about him when he first signed, to be honest. Ossenfort, he came from the Tennessee Titans. He was, I think, the assistant GM there, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, so don't, completely trust me on that. But I really wasn't sure what to think about him. And I think a lot of people were concerned when the Cardinals signed literally fuck all in the offseason. Like, we got no players. And I was one of those. I got concerned too. But you gotta realize that this team sucks. There's a lot of questions about this team right now. So no one's gonna want to come here over, Super Bowl candidate teams. But I'm excited to have this new staff here with us. And I'm hoping that they can build this team up and bring it back to at least playoff level, but hopefully to championship potential. So this is when I knew I loved Monty Ossenfort. This man absolutely cooked in our draft. He traded our third round pick. He traded down like a decent bit to Houston. I think they were like, I can't remember to be honest, but it doesn't matter. He traded down, got a first round pick and some other picks. Then he traded those other picks he got from the Houston Texans and moved back up to 6 to draft Paris Johnson Jr., which is huge. And he kept the first round pick we got from Houston. So now we basically got the guy we wanted and got a first round pick in the process. Paris Johnson Jr., he is an elite level tackle, but he can also play in the offensive guard position. He's long, he's athletic, he's big, tall. He's got heritage here in Arizona too. His dad played for us. I think he drafted with us too. So, this is a big signing for us. They are gonna be, as of right now, a lot of the reports are that he's gonna be playing offensive guard, the left guard position for us, I believe. I checked the depth chart and it seems like that's true. I don't know who that is, but yeah. So I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like when you're first going to the NFL, you should be put at your position that you played at in college. And I feel like moving this guy to guard could be not disastrous, but it could be just a hinder in his development. But honestly, he seemed willing to play guard. He seems like he just wants to get out there and work. So I'm happy with it, if he's happy with it. BJ Ojulari, we needed an edge rusher. Our team in general, since Hassan Reddick and Chandler Jones have left, our edge rushing has just not been the same. I don't know, and on top of that, we lose Zach Allen, we lose JJ Watt, who were doing good for us. So this guy, he's going to get a lot of playing time, I think. Honestly, I didn't even check and see. Is he? Yeah, they have him currently as a weak side linebacker, so he's going to be getting a lot of playing time. I expect him to be one of our main edge rushers this season. And I don't know, I like the pick a lot. From the highlights I've seen, he gets to the quarterback well, and he just makes plays. He's pretty fast, too. He uses his hands well. And let's move on. Garrett Williams. Now, Garrett Williams was a pick that we needed to make. We needed a cornerback badly. I mean, we can look at our cornerback depth right now. Going in... Where the fuck? Oh, yeah. Going into the year, realistically, our one cornerback that we knew that was going to be, good for us, Marco Wilson. That's it. We really didn't have much else. I don't know why it says Isaiah Simmons is going to be playing cornerback, to be honest. I thought he was playing safety, but I don't know. We just need cornerback depth. We just don't have a lot. And again, you gotta understand too, it's like he may not be the most talented cornerback in the draft. Obviously, he's the third round pick. But Jonathan Gannon is a defensive minded coach. He's gonna be able to help all our defensive players develop well and hopefully get more out of them than others. Michael Wilson, so far he's our most intriguing player coming into this season because he was a late third round pick. He had good stats at Stanford, not phenomenal though. I mean, he goes to Stanford, so obviously he's a smart young man. He can high point the ball really well. He's very tall too. I can't remember his exact height, but we have no height. We have Marquise Brown, we have Greg Dortch, Rondell Moore. They're all fucking short. So this guy is. I think he's gonna get more playing time than people realize, because we need height on the receiver end of things. So obviously we can put in like tight end. We have Ertz and Trey McBride, so we could go double tight end if we wanted some extra height. But so far it looks like this guy is going to be big for us. And especially now with DeAndre Hopkins gone, it's going to be even more important. Because we need some wide receivers to step up. John Gaines second. I don't know much about him. But it looks like he can play center. And I think currently the depth chart it says second center, which is fine. But we needed a center. And hopefully, we can develop this guy and he can be a solid center for us. Clayton Tune, we needed to draft a quarterback just because Kyler's injured and Colt McCoy is always injured, it seems. So, get another guy. This guy, he looked like he had good stats, actually. I liked what I saw from him. And so, I think for where we got him in the 5th round, I actually like that pick a lot. Owen Papal, I'm not going to lie, don't know much about him. But again, I don't mind drafting defensive players because Jonathan Gannon can work. Keitrell Clark, I actually did see some stats from him. I liked what I saw. But again, late 6th round pick, not sure how important he's going to be with the team, but we'll see. Preseason. And then Dante Stills, we just needed tackle depth. I think that's the big reason why we got him. I don't know much about him, but again, like I said before, hopefully Gannon can develop all of our defensive players that we've drafted. But yeah, so Austin Fort cooked. He got us all the positions that we needed, and he made just good decisions too. Like, again, especially Paris Johnson Jr. Sorry, slurred that. BJ Ojulari, Garrett Williams, and Michael Wilson. Those are our biggest picks. Oh, and Jonathan Gaines is good too, because we needed a center. But so I don't know. I like our draft picks. I'm very, very happy with what we've done. So, the next thing that I would like to talk about is Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is going to go into a big year for us. This is a year where he is going to prove whether or not he belongs on this team. I personally believe that Kyler Murray can be one of, if not the best quarterback in the league. People hate on him way too much. He has elite arm talent. He has elite running ability. He's dealt with some injury problems, but again, think about it like this. This man has had no O-line around him pretty much throughout his entire career. And he's still put up good numbers. And, it's like, oh, he had DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, and Hopkins was injured half the time. And also, he was dealing with Cliff's bullshit-ass system and stupid-ass offensive schemes. That being said, I do understand that Kyler is in a big, crucial year. Because if the Cardinals don't see enough from him this season, he will be gone by the next year. And why is that? Caleb Williams, he's one of the best quarterbacks I've seen in college in a long time. I watched the USC versus ASU game. That's the most I've watched Caleb Williams play. And he just annihilated us. We were getting to him on the defensive end, and he just made play after play. He's going to be, I think, one of the most highly sought-after quarterbacks. And obviously, the Cardinals are on pace to get the first pick in the draft. So we could draft him potentially. If not, trade that pick, obviously. Or if the Texans are bad enough, then we just get their pick. And hopefully they do play bad enough. I personally don't think the Cardinals are going to do well this season. If the Cardinals win more than 3 games, I will be surprised. And to be honest, as much as like I'm a Cardinals fan, I want my team to do well. I hate saying this. Like, I don't want to say I want my team to lose, because that sounds so fucked. But I want my team. I'm gonna be going for my team to win every single week. I think my outlook is gonna be, you know what? If we lose, it's not the end of the world. That's gonna be my outlook on the season. Though we're not gonna win games, so it'll be fun. I can go for the Texans though and say like, yeah, no, I hope that they fucking lose every single game this year, straight up. So, but yeah, so like, if Kyler doesn't play well, Caleb Williams is a beast. We could easily get him, and there might be someone that wants Kyler for something. I don't know. I don't know. I really do hope that Kyler can just figure his shit out and prove that he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, because then we can keep him, develop him with our guys that we have currently. And then we can trade, if we do get the first pick in the draft, we can trade that and get more picks and build more around our team. Some of the things to look at this season, though. Gannon, I want to see how he looks as a coach. I want to see. Obviously, it's like the team's not going to do well, but if the defense can look solid, though, under him, that's going to be a good look for him. If our offense can have at least some sort of structure and some sort of a scheme to it, that's going to be big. I just want to see what Gannon is capable of. Like, obviously, again, we're not going to win a lot of games, so we're going to have to look very deep into what the team's doing to be able to truly understand like how he's doing. Another big one, Marquise Brown. He is on the last year of his deal. I hope we can get him. We don't know, though. And he's a beast. I love him. He's so fast. And him and Kyler obviously have a good connection. They were balling before injuries last season, so I think we're all hoping that Marquise Brown can have another good year, and that the Cardinals are going to be able to re-sign him. Isaiah Simmons. The Cardinals declined his option, so this is his last year on his rookie deal. I think the team wants to retain him. I mean, Jonathan Gannon, I think, is going to have a field day using him. Obviously, they've moved him to defensive backs now, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him this year. I hope we can keep him, though. I love Isaiah. I was so happy when they got him in the draft, and then, yeah, it just feels like he's been misused throughout his entire time here. They've just been, like, fucking with his position too much. And, like, now they're figuring out, oh, he would be best as a safety. But, anyway. The whole what the fuck? The whole Buda Baker contract situation is another thing to look at. Buda, he's my favorite safety in the league. I personally think he's the best safety in the league right now. I know Minka Fitzpatrick's alive. I know Derwin James is alive. But Buda, the run game that he impacts is phenomenal. He's gotten better and better at coverage. I don't know, he just makes so many huge impact plays on that defensive end. And personally, I just believe he's better than both Minka and Derwin. But I understand arguments for all of them. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him, because he said that he would be willing to stay with the Cardinals, assuming that he gets paid enough. And I hope that they pay him, because I love Buda, and I would love him to stay here. But at the same time, they might look for trades. Who knows? It's going to be a bad year for the Cardinals, but they can start to move in the right direction. They can start to progress this team. If we can get some good developmental years out of, Kyler, Isaiah Simmons, if we can get Buda back, if we can get Marquise Brown back, this could be a good year for the Cardinals. Use Greg Dortch as well. Yeah, there's a lot of good things that the Cardinals can do this year. The only thing they're not going to be doing is winning fucking games, but that's okay. We've gone through worse things as Arizona sports fans, so. Anyway, that's gonna about wrap up the podcast. I don't really got much more I want to talk about. In terms of the Cardinals podcast, my plan. So I'm gonna do one after preseason, just discussing what happened with preseason, like how we looked. Uh, yeah, nothing crazy. Just we'll do one of those after preseason, and then after that we might do like one more podcast, like right before the season starts, just with some other stuff, and then after that we'll be doing a weekly podcast discussing the game. Like, the Cardinals make it easy for me. They have a game a week, besides obviously the bye week. I'll just be doing a podcast every single week covering that. We'll talk about the game. We'll talk about the players. We'll talk a little bit about the next week, and what to expect. And yeah, no, I think it's gonna be fun making these podcasts. Again, so far I've only done Suns podcasts, so making a Cardinals podcast is going to be fun. I think at the time of recording this podcast, yeah, I've only done Suns podcast so far. I think by the time I actually release this podcast, though, my plan is to have done a few other podcasts. So hopefully you guys enjoyed those. But yeah, no, thank you guys for watching slash just listening. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, if you guys have any suggestions, go ahead and put those in the comments. I try and look at all those. Um, and yeah, if you guys wouldn't mind liking, subscribing to the channel, I really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope you all have a good day. And go Cardinals. Even though they fucking suck.